As a continuation from last time, I'm again telling one of my personal, paranormal stories. It's definitely not something I can explain. This has been a very long time coming, and I will try my best to not lose it while I tell this story. This is the Cryptid of North Alabama. It took me moving 1,000 miles away to finally feel comfortable enough to tell you this story. This happened just before my senior year of high school, over a period of 3 weeks in the summer. I was 17 years old, drug-free and sober. At the most, I took Advil for headaches every now and again. I just want to assure you, I was not on any mind-altering substances or long-term medication that could affect my cognitive ability. During the summer, my curfew was 11 p.m., and this occurred while driving home from my, at the time, boyfriend's house, which took roughly 15 minutes, so let's say 10:45 at night. I was full of energy at this age, and a night owl, so I was not even remotely tired. In fact, I was hyped up with the warm summer night breeze, car windows down, singing along to the radio. I took a shortcut through the back roads to avoid going into the tiny city with its jerk cops. Also, one of the roads I took was super straight and flat, so I could really speed, and that feels great when you're a teenager. But right before the road, I had to take 2 very close turns to get onto it. First, I'd take a right turn that was more than 90 degrees, almost back the way I had came. Then in exactly half a mile, I would turn left onto the long, straight road where I could really put the gas pedal down. Since it was only half a mile, I normally didn't speed up that much because the small stretch of road was more like packed gravel, and it would be a waste as I would have to slow down again to turn left onto the much better road where I could cut loose. The tiny property on the inside corner of the left turn is where all of this went down. A house had recently been built there, 2 stories with a detached garage, and it seemed odd how quickly it had been erected as we built our family house, and it took us nearly a year to finish it. I will start at the beginning because I believe this is all related. Week 1. I'm positively jamming to my music. The wind whipping through my car feels great, and I'm relaxed in my very familiar drive home. I slow down to make my right turn onto the rural road, just bebopping along when my lights illuminate something stunning sitting on the corner of the road. It's a wolf. A real wolf. A solid white real wolf. I know the difference in my dog breeds and a wolf. I love watching dog competitions, wildlife documentaries, and have even met a 1/4 wolf in person. They look different from domestic dogs. This was a wolf, and it was amazing and blowing my mind. I slow down even more while I turn down my music. I'm getting close to it, and I notice it's not minding me at all. It's sitting perfectly still on the corner of the road staring at the house, almost unblinking. Its ears didn't even flick towards me. All its attention was focused on this house. I was so close I could have reached out my window and brushed the fur on the back of its head. I was smiling and amazed, but my mind was already churning. It made no sense for a wolf to be behaving like that, even less for there to be a white wolf in rural North Alabama in the summer. I came to a complete stop behind it, marveling at its fur and presence. I felt euphoric, like I had seen something rare and blessed. My mind then made the jump to to the local Indian stories of animal spirit guardians, and I started to wonder. I couldn't stay, though. My mom would never believe me if I told her I was late because of a spirit wolf. With a sigh, I said goodbye to the wolf and drove home in a better mood than ever. I got to see something special, and it filled me with emotions of joy and peace. Week 2. I was driving home again and had been taking extra care to keep an eye out for my wolfie buddy, hoping to see him again around that area, so I drove extra slow with my window down and radio off. That was a horrible mistake. I should have realized what the presence of a guardian meant. It meant danger. Alas, I was on the short road approaching the new little house. Then I saw the thing that to this very day makes me question my sanity, my reality, and possibility of eldritch terrors as Lovecraft described. It was crouched right before their mailbox, its limbs folded and pulled in tight with its hunched posture, yet its head was still taller than the box. It was mottled green and black with undertones of blue, and it looked wet and slimy all over. Its head was elongated, allowing for an extended maw full of razor-sharp teeth. The upper half of its body looked emaciated, with barely more than frog-like thin skin pulled over angular long bones, ropey muscles to hold it upright, and at the end of its grossly stretched arms were equally terrible long fingers, while its legs had bulk to them and looked equipped for running, with back-facing knees for sprinting, and tipped in raptor-like curved claws. It looked tall, maybe 7 foot, maybe even more, just folded up into its predator's posture, waiting for prey. Then there were its eyes, solid black and sunken. I still want to vomit thinking about its eyes looking at me. Then I realized, it's going to look at me. It's going to see me, and there's no avoiding it. Panic, terror unique to this alien thing swallowed me instantly, feeling like I was tilting off the world I had always known into an abyss where monsters like this exist. I couldn't breathe, but I had to get my window up. I had to get my window up, or I'd be ripped by those teeth and torn with those claws. Blood would adorn the cabin of my car, and I would become an unsolved mystery. I had a manual crank window. Fuck me, I had a crank window because I was scared of crashing into water and not being able to get out of my car, but now I realized that there were far worse things in the world than crashing into water. Its head was turning towards me, and I had let off the gas, but I was still getting closer to it. It made me want to scream, but I had to get my window up first, and I was cranking as hard as I could. I was starting to cry as I finally got the window closed, and then I put my gas pedal to the floor. Gravel road be damned. I thought, I must not look at it as I pass. I must not look at it or make direct eye contact. I just shouldn't. It's not good to connect with these things. I've already seen too much. My tires had found grip, and I started to launch forward, passing it. In my peripheral vision, I could see it starting to unfold its sickly limbs, and it sent a terrible chill down my spine. I'm screwed. I'm really screwed. Fuck. I was mumbling through my tears as I slid around the turn, fishtailing for a moment before I rocketed down the road. I felt sick. My heart was hammering. I had snot and tears rolling down my face, and my hands were shaking. I glanced in my rearview mirror and could only see darkness as there were no street lamps out there. I used a trick I've mentioned in one of my other stories to tap my brakes soft enough that the light comes on, but I don't actually slow down. Red lit up the dust that was billowing in my wake, but amidst the swirling chaos, I thought I could see a darker shadow than the rest. A tall, thin shadow. I'd had enough. and decided I was going to drive straight to the lighted roads and not let off the gas again the rest of the way. No more looking back. I was going to drive 109 miles per hour, which is as fast as I can go before my governor kicks in. I even ran a stop sign at the end of the road because I was not going to get caught by this thing if I could help it. I swung around the right onto the highway and flew home. I might have even been relieved to get pulled over, but I did not. When I got home, no one was awake. I was pretty trusted to come home on time. So I called my boyfriend and cried to him for a long time before I was able to explain. He was dismissive and thought I was pulling a joke on him. Then he thought I was just being crazy and seeing things. There's many reasons we didn't stay together, but his insensitivity contributed. Week 3. I refused to take my shortcut anymore. For that reason, I would have to leave my boyfriend's house a bit early, and he'd been making fun of me about it all week. One of the days we went to a park to walk around, and on the way back, he decided he wanted to drive by the house where I saw that thing. I was hysterical, begging him not to drive there. But he would not be dissuaded, so as we got closer and I could not stop him, I leaned my passenger side seat all the way back, and I pulled myself down, cowering in panic of getting near the place. I hid below the window and covered my eyes while panting heavily, reliving the traumatic night in my mind again. At one point, he stopped the car. "Spooky, you have to see this," he said. "No," I whined, resisting him pulling at my arm. "No, you really have to see this, look," he said in a changed tone of astonishment. Tears in my eyes, I uncurled and slowly peeked over the rim of the window. The house was gone, burnt clear down to the foundation with only a handful of framing beams still standing. The ground around the house was blackened in a perfect large circle. My boyfriend started to get out of the car and I shouted, "No, let's get out of here," while I grabbed for his arm, but he easily avoided me and cut out. He walked around the ashy piles of the ruins for a bit, using a stick to poke at this and that. When he finally came back, he had an intense look on his face. There was no evidence of any personal belongings, furniture, power wiring, or even interior walls. It doesn't seem like other burnout houses. Something's weird, he said. When we got to his house, he searched for news articles about any house fires in the area. There weren't any. He called the closest fire station and was quickly brushed off by the person that answered, as they didn't know and didn't have time to find out before quickly hanging up on him. I never want to see that place again. I went out of my way to avoid the roads in that area, and when I visit, I still do. Talking about it still makes my chest tighten, my skin crawl, and my eyes water. My brain still has trouble because I know I saw it, a thing that's nothing like any creature known to humans, yet still, I saw it. If you've heard of something that matches its description, let me know. Thank you, everyone, for listening today to one of my most terrifying tales. I hope you enjoyed it. Good night.